that in standard form? I don't think so. All right. It is in factored form, clearly in factored form. Now later in this unit, we're going to start talking about how to identify x-intercepts from here and even y-intercepts from here. Can I go ahead and tell you your x-intercepts? This is going to be fun. -3, +3, -5, +5. Notice I was mentioning the opposite sign as I pointed to each of those factors. Just saying. It'll become second nature to you. You may already know it. So what I want to do is put this thing in standard form. And when I put this in standard form, I'm going to have to just do a lot of multiplication. I think it's going to be best if we multiply the first two and then the last two, and then we'll put those together. So let's jump in. I'm going to grab a chair so I can get really comfy as I do this. There's a table here, and I'm squatting down. And I'm here to do math, not squats. It's going to be awkward. You might see like half my head just poking up from time to time. I probably should just get a puppet and just like stick it up and do that. Anyway, x plus 3x minus 3 is going to give me, let's switch colors here, x squared minus 9, and then x plus 5x minus 5, x squared minus 25. And now we're ready to multiply those together. And that's going to be x squared times x squared, that's x to the 4th. And then x squared times -25, x squared times -9. -9 minus 25 is going to give me -34 x squared. And then multiply 25 times 9, and that's going to give you 225. There we go. We now have, there I am, we now have standard form. So I'm going to write that in the next little section over here. So we'll do that, we'll bring that over, there we go. And then we'll start labeling these other things. Standard form is that thing we just found. Draw an arrow to it if you don't want to write all that again. But f of x equals x to the 4th minus 34x squared plus 225. The leading coefficient is 1. Now if they asked for the leading term, that'd be different. It's odd. I'm looking at this and it's like my hand is behind my head. Ah, no, 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 he's pinching my head. Anyway, just looks awkward. Anyway, leading coefficient is an understood one. The degree is a 4, and where is it? There it is. Ah, pinch, pinch, pinch. Okay, sorry, I'm not going to be off topic anymore. This is a quartic. And then the end behavior of this thing, we're going to graph it. And when we graph it, we'll be able to see what happens. Let's go ahead and start our sentences as the huge hand of writing appears behind me and threatens to pinch my head off. As x approaches -infinity, y approaches something. Don't know what that is yet. And then as x approaches +infinity, y approaches something. So as we go to the left, what happens to the graph? As we go to the right, what happens to the graph? Later we're going to identify some shortcuts with this and simplify the notation. I mentioned that earlier, but we're going to hold off on that one. So let's graph this thing. There it is. And if you want to squeeze that down, you can. That would mean that you're changing the scale on your y-axis or changing your y-axis. So as we go to the left, we go up. So as x approaches -infinity, y approaches infinity. As x approaches +infinity, y approaches infinity. Both sides are going up. So this is going to be a situation where both sides go up. Okay, we're going to have relative extrema. We're going to have a relative maximum at a couple points. And then we're going to have, and this is fun, we're going to have two absolute minimums. Basically, we're going to have 2 points, and there's one, and there's the other, that are the lowest the points ever get. So it never goes down to -infinity. So that is truly, here and here, the lowest it gets, and they are at the same y value. So there's a tie for the lowest point. So we have one relative max, and we're going to have 2 absolute minimums. It is the minimum. It's not some minimum like in some little area. It's like the lowest point you ever get to. So this is an absolute minimum, and there are going to be 2 of those, and we're going to list them. So let's click to see where they are. There's your maximum right there. Also your y-intercept, by the way. You've seen that number before in this one. And there we go. So negative 64, that's the lowest it goes, but it's at negative 4.123 and positive 4.123. Not a coincidence, it just happens that way. So positive and negative, yeah, we can simplify like that. 4.123 comma negative 64. And then the maximum is at 0, 225. Okay. And then we're going to also find the y-intercept, which we actually already found at 0, 225. And then we're going to find our x-intercept, which we actually already mentioned. So let me scooch this up just a wee bit. And what we're going to do is come over here to the graph and find them. Negative 5, negative 3, 3, and 5. Told you. Let's simplify things. Plus or minus 5, 0. Plus or minus 3, 0. And there you go. Rah!